Welcome back to His and Hers Movie Podcast. This is episode number 31, featuring the review of the highly anticipated South Korean sequel to Train to Busan called Peninsula, aka Train to Busan Presents Peninsula, which is an odd way of titling the movie, but I get it, right? You can't have like a second Train to Busan. There's just the point of that movie, the title of that movie just wouldn't work in sequel form. So I get it.
Yeah.
It's a zombie film. I am one half of your hosting duos, JP, podcasting out of southwestern Pennsylvania on this August 22nd, 2020. And joining me tonight, as always, is Carly.
Yeah, hello everybody. We are back. Hopefully you all enjoyed our Shark Week.
I almost died from Shark Week.
I was gonna say, I know that we did, but we are glad it's over. But yeah, I mean, I think it went well. Seems like we got some decent feedback, so that was fun. But yeah, we are on Train to Busan Part 2, which I didn't realize the movie was pretty much just called Peninsula and had that Train to Busan Presents thing, but because the whole time I was thinking, are they really going to make another movie that's another train going to Busan or what?
Well, yeah, that is weird because that title morphed over time, because I got press releases from this film from the gate, and I swear they were calling it Train to Busan Peninsula. Then they dropped they added the presents to it later on down the line. Train to Busan Presents Peninsula. And now I've been seeing it as just Peninsula.
Yeah, when I logged in on Letterboxd, it was under Peninsula. So it's definitely weird, but it makes sense. You know, it really is just a movie set in the same world as Train to Busan. It's not like the same exact thing, but anyway. And
later, when we review Train to Busan Presents Peninsula, we will have a special guest joining us. So stay tuned for that. It is our third guest ever.
Right. But we've had Jerry and the Schwarters, so technically the fourth guest.
I count them as one.
I do too. I always think it's like conjoined twins or something.
Right.
I always think of that as one.
And they're like the same guy.
Right. So anyway, how have you been?
I've been okay. I feel like I'm sick right now or something. I just woke up. But I could be like, you know, that feeling when you just wake up and your nose all stuffed up?
Yeah, it happens to me every morning.
Yeah, because I have like an air conditioner and a fan on. So
yeah.
I'm sounding a little like nasally. I apologize. But yeah, I just woke up because my sleep schedule is jacked up because I'm working overnights and then I'm working second shift on the same week multiple times. So it's 7:14 p.m. and I just woke up. This has been killing my 91 watches, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got home today. I was trying to help my pap work on this quad a little bit, but I was like, man, I gotta get in there and go to sleep if I'm gonna record tonight. But I didn't want to be that guy that was like, yeah, so I'm not gonna be able to help you, I gotta go to sleep, you know. So I was like, stayed out there longer than I wanted to. But eventually I just had to break the news that I was gonna need to go to sleep. And I went inside and I was watching Ricky O, which is a 91 move. It's actually on Tubi, which I didn't realize. I thought I was going to have to find it somewhere else. But again, Tubi comes in clutch. Did you watch Ricky O yet?
No, but I didn't. I noticed it was on there.
Yeah.
It's such a horror movie.
It's debatable. I think a lot of the guys are going to include it. It has some horror moments, but the real reason I think people include it is it's very gory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll watch it because it seems like you guys are all kind of were talking about it from the beginning. So, but I
it
did
is
not watch
one
it.
of the better movies from '91. It's really funny. You know, it's a like prison movie.
Mm.
And it's like this guy named Ricky O, or the dubbed version, I think his name is Ricky Ho. And he is in prison, and he's just like a badass. He's just like punching through people's bodies and stuff like that. It's strange. But it's a very good movie. It's solid. I gotta finish it up, but yeah, I looked at my final list. I have about 25 91 movies I want to get to. We're a little under 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of crunch time. I also have a few summer series movies I still need to see. So I have a lot to do. Luckily, 22 Shots is still on break.
Right.
Hopefully, we don't lose any more recordings, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
That was horrible. So now we have backup recordings, which I know you're recording right now, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Do not pay attention to it's recording at the top.
What's that?
I just said we're both recording at the same time right now. That's cool.
Okay, cool.
We not have a full intro if things go wrong.
Oh, okay. See, I was wondering if you were recording, so I looked.
Yes, can you see? Yes.
No, because my computer froze just now and I can't see anything.
Oh darn, how inconvenient. But we are recording.
Okay. Alright, that's good to know. I was trying to type it in the chat, but my Skype froze, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I am sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry because I've been recording this whole time. Anyway, but yes, I'm in the same boat where it seems like all these movies have caught up to me, and it's like for the summer series, there were technically only 4 movies I had never seen before. One of them being Wreck. That was an easy watch. It was only an hour and 18 minutes, but the other 3 are all 2 hours plus. So, gotta watch that. Well, I actually watched another one this morning, so now I'm down to there's 2 I gotta watch. So technically gotta watch. I wanna watch some other ones because it's been so long since I've seen them. But if I could make sure I just have them all watched, I'll be happy. Then for 91, I'm at 42 watches, and I would like to hit 50. That's usually my goal for any of the top 10 shows I do on your show anyway, but honestly, I wanted to get more than that, but I took a big break for a while, and now it's kind of all caught up, unfortunately. But I'm basically trying to watch one of those every day at this point to just make myself feel better. So it's crazy. It is crazy. You know what I'm saying,
yes.
Joe? Right. Big truck. Yeah, but been watching those. It is almost fall time, and I am excited.
Yeah, you know what? Before we got on, what's that?
I'm getting into that spooky feeling.
Oh yeah. Before I got on, I was thinking about what my pick for this year's Halloween marathon will be. Have you found yours yet?
No, because I was counting on going to conventions and finding bootlegs, and we have no conventions.
Right.
No, I'll have to put thought into that because I forgot all about that, to be honest. But I'll pull something out my butthole, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. It's right. I haven't found anything yet. I have one title in mind, but I'm not sure if I want to go with it. And then we have to find a headliner still.
Yeah.
I think this year, for an opener... Sorry, I'm tired. Sorry. For an opener, maybe we should do one of the Friday the 13ths, because I'll have my box set by then, I think.
Lucky you.
Yeah, it is lucky.
Yeah, that would be... You can't go wrong with those.
Right. Which Friday the 13th to you feels most like Halloween. There is I have an answer for this. I don't know why I do, but there's one in particular that always feels like the most October to me. And I don't think any of them are set in October. They're all summer movies. But which one
You mean
to
like
you?
you mean the one that I would most likely watch, or one that actually feels like it was like filmed in the fall and has that vibe to it?
This both. What? Either one.
Um, let me think. Well, let me think. Allow me to just think. I feel like part maybe maybe 6, because it's like I feel like it's got like that cold look to it, and also it's like Jason has come back.
That's
Oh.
not a bad one, because I think that the woods may have a little foliage and stuff in there.
Yeah, and it's not like set in a lake where everyone's swimming like it's summertime. That's why most of them are dubbed as summertime movies,
And
because of the
Tommy
lake.
Jarvis has on like a puffy jacket. You know,
Yeah, that's why I
that
was
jean
thinking it was
jacket with the
cold.
little.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me though, it's always part 3. That one just feels like Halloween to me.
That was going to be my second pick.
Like
And I think
October.
it's
I think
the
that one was
barn.
filmed in a really cold area too. I think you can see their breath at one point at night.
Mm.
But yeah, the barn, I don't know. Whatever about Halloween or Friday the 13th 3 always reminded me of like the fall.
Yeah, that was literally going to be my second choice. Because I agree, it's something about the whole setting, like the barn setting. Maybe it's because I don't know, in Halloween 5 you have a barn and stuff like that, and the barn is used in other fall setting movies. That kind of gives me that vibe.
Yeah,
But
maybe it's like the
I would
hay
agree.
and stuff.
Yeah, that's because of hay rides and whatnot. But I agree, part 3 definitely has that feel as well. That's the beauty of Friday the 13th movies. Like, people always say gotta watch them in the summertime, but you can actually watch those at any time of the year. And, you don't have to be in the mood where with Halloween, I don't really want to watch those outside of October, September area and stuff.
Play me in the winter, play me in the summer.
No.
Oh.
I mean, well, yes.
Yeah, but no, I think that is a franchise that even though they like, I'm not gonna watch Sleepaway Camp in any other time than the summer usually, maybe the fall, but I don't really have a problem with watching Friday the 13th in the spring, in the winter. I wish there was a winter Friday the 13th. I always have. That is such a oh man, I went like. Could you imagine like all the kids going up there in the cabin for the winter and Jason's out? Dude, that would be so cool. I want that more than like anything in life.
Yeah.
So that would be neat, but I don't know if that'll ever happen at this point.
I know, little guy, it's sad.
Yesterday I went to the Dollar Tree again for my monthly hit up. I got a lot of titles. Some titles I was very happy with. There's a lot of Magnet and Magnolia titles, which I think might be the same company. And they always do a really good job. They did. I mean, they do still. You still get some good Magnet titles, but like, I swear, during the like mid, what do we call the tens decade?
I don't know, I guess the mid 2010s.
Okay, the mid 2010s, they had a lot of good titles that came out. Actually, even like the late aughts, they had some titles that came out. So getting some of those titles for $1 was really cool. It would be cool to see some IFC titles there, like, because it seems like they get like just overstock from places. I could totally see like IFC titles being a thing.
Yes.
So I got a bunch of Magnet stuff, some other crap stuff. They actually had a bunch of Wild Eye stuff too. I picked up like 1 or 2. I'm not the biggest fan of Wild Eye because honestly, like a lot of Wild Eye stuff to me is just overly long. So yeah, I don't do a whole lot of Wild Eye. But
Ye-
I got I
Yeah,
got I got like what, like 16 titles for a buck.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I could have got more, but I was just feeling like a little bit like last time I picked up like every single horror title that there was. This time I relaxed a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too, because when I first started getting all these Dollar Tree movies, I was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna buy everything because it's $1. And I'm buying like these packs of 30 horrible looking ghost movies, and I'm thinking like, I know I'm gonna hate these, but it's $1. And now I'm to the point where the stack is pretty much almost halfway to the ceiling of DVDs I have to watch, and so I'd rather just buy stuff that I either know is good or it sounds good enough there. But it's still fun going and hunting for them. I love that Dollar Tree's been doing this because it's just exciting to find. We have thrift stores around, but we don't really find too much there. So finding stuff at Dollar Tree is almost the same thing because you're getting them for like the same, cheaper than like at Goodwill, honestly. So I also have moves.
Cool. So, that was pretty much it for my week. I mean, we went to we were gonna go see Unhinged last night, but my schedule was just like really bad for it. And honestly, I'm glad we didn't plan on going because I got into like an issue that kind of ruined my day. So, yeah. Oh, I guess so we went and saw Breakfast Club and 16 Candles, which we'll talk about later at the drive-in last week. I was gonna tell you Unhinged and The Tenant, which is Nolan's new movie, is at the drive-in this Sunday. So technically we could do that instead of going to see Inception.
Right. I mean, that would be killing two birds with one stone because we want to see both of those.
Right. So, and when do we ever get to see two new movies that we're both kind of interested in the theater, in the drive-in? Like, it barely ever happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Then the only other thing that I did was, so my pap has a quad. It's like a utility quad, and there's like a spot that my friend's grandfather owns down by the river near us. And we used to fish down there since I was a kid. Like, it's kind of just been a nice spot ever since I was a kid. And basically he drove the quad down there and was like looking around and decided to drive it over into the water a little bit to like clean off the wheels and stuff like that. And unbeknownst to him, they had recently like excavated a little bit of the edge there, and it was like it used to be a long, like, slow decline into the water, but it was like a cliff drop off, and the quad basically tipped over off the edge and almost drowned him and sunk about 10 to 12 foot deep into the river. And I was about to go to sleep because I had to work, and then he calls me all like, yo, I need help. And I went and got my neighbor who has like a truck. He drove down there. We could not find this thing. I was like diving. I like took my shirt off, got into my underwear because I didn't have shorts on. I had jeans on, and just started diving into this disgusting Monongahela River that was completely cloudy. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face underwater. I'm sitting there diving down looking for a quad and can't find it. Eventually I found it, and boy, it was deep. I was like out of shape too, but it was deep, and I finally dove down and tied a winch to it, and we pulled it out, and he started taking it apart today to clean it out and dry everything out, and hopefully it runs again. But yeah, that was quite the morning, quite the afternoon. It was strange, man.
Yeah, I hope it works still because that was a pretty nice quad and it was rather
and we
new.
still owe money on it.
Yeah, so I hope that he can clean that out and get everything going again. But that's crazy. It's a good thing no one drowned in the act.
I know. I thought I was gonna drown. I was out there, you know, I couldn't touch after like it was like I could touch and then I couldn't touch and it was like a 5 foot drop off, and then it was like 10 foot.
Mm.
And I haven't swam in probably like in water that was deeper than my height in probably like 10 years. So I was like, when I first got in there, I was like, because he asked me if I knew how to swim. I was like, yeah, I know how to swim. And then I was like, I hope I know how to swim. I haven't done it in a long time. I hope it's like that old saying, like, once you learn how to ride a bike, you won't ever forget.
Dude, I don't like. I got on a bike a few years ago, and I barely knew how to ride the bike. Like,
there's no way I could get on a bike and not know how to ride it. Like, I did that. That was one of the things I did more than anything else in my childhood. I just assumed that it'll be like second nature.
Listen, look, I know you feel that way, but like, I'm just telling you, I got on this bike and I forgot how to balance for a second. But then I got it, and that was okay.
Balance?
So, yeah, you have to balance on the bike.
I was usually pretty good at balancing, just saying.
Well, that's why you have training wheels, because kids don't know how to balance, and then they get off the training wheels to balance.
I can hop in a wheelchair and like drive all the way down the road on 2 wheels, just saying, right now.
A wheelchair?
Yeah. You know how they like do the thing where they pull the 2 front wheels off the ground?
Okay, dude, go ahead.
Dude, we used to.
I'll lend you a wheelchair.
We used to have obstacle courses, like go down steps, go up steps. Go down hills, go uphill. Like we used to do like go over boards and stuff. Me and my friends, we had 2 wheelchairs, and we would just like we called them scraper chairs.
Why?
Because we saw this video once about a scraper bike, and we'd be like, scraping on my scraper chair. It was like a song.
Oh yeah, I know that. I've heard that before.
Yeah, and we just like do like we just would drink and get in these wheelchairs and do dumb shit.
That's pretty dumb. Pretty dumb, buddy.
It was fun.
Yes.
Okay, so that was our weeks, pretty much.
Yes.
Do you want to get into the things that we watched?
Yes, I think we shall.
Oh.
I just heard a thunder.
1 second. So, next week's episode, very excited to say, will be, well, it'll be next week's episode, because this show is supposed to be this week's episode.
Right.
We're gonna see the New Mutants. Holy hell, we're gonna see the New Mutants.
Yes, I saw you reserved me a set. I was like, wow, is this real?
Yeah, it's in Dolby too. And I'm actually off Thursday, so nothing can go wrong.
Right. In the light.
So we're gonna go opening night to see the New Mutants. The New Mutants was not only in my top 5 most anticipated movies for 2019. It was also in my top 5 most anticipated movies for 2020. So,
yes.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see this. I don't have high hopes for it. I really don't. I think that it had too much of a troubled production. It's probably not going to be good, but I just thought it was like a cool concept. It has a cool trailer that I accidentally seen a few times. And yeah, I think that. Yeah, so at the end of 2018, I made a video saying my top 5 most anticipated films for 2019 are, and that was way back in 2018, dude. So
yeah, that's,
I cannot believe out of every movie that is like finally going to get released, it's going to be this one. Of course, we know the troubled production. Initially, it was. Done, and then they said it wasn't really much like a horror movie, so they did reshoots, or vice versa, that it was too much like a horror movie and they did reshoots. I'm not 100% sure what happened, but it had a really troubled production. But what got me interested in it is, one, I like X-Men movies, and I thought a horror movie that was set in the X-Men universe would be really cool. And also, the director of the film said he was heavily inspired by a top 3 favorite horror film for me, which is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. He was very heavily inspired by Dream Warriors, so I, for that reason, was really excited.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have high hopes because we've waited so long for it, and it was like a hype thing, and it's just now here it is finally. So, yeah, I'm excited though to finally see it. I'm excited to see a movie to begin with in the theater, so this shall be fun. And we finally get to talk about it.
Right.
So, yeah, that will be good. And like you said, we might see Tenet and Unhinged tomorrow, so that would also be good. And yeah, a lot of movies are going to be coming our way now, hopefully. So, with that being said, speaking of moves, shall we get into what we have watched?
Sure, buddy. So let's see here. First up for me, I didn't watch a ton this week. Was 16 Candles and Breakfast Club, but of course we're going to talk about those together.
Mm-hmm.
So then I watched a movie for fun. It was called Trespass.
You did what?
I watched a movie for fun.
And how do you feel now about doing that?
Oh, I feel pretty good. I love Trespass.
No, I mean, like, at this point in time where you're, like, really kind of, you kind of did that whole monologue at the beginning where you're, like, a little stressed about 91 and Summer Series. Like, how do you feel now that you've watched these movies for fun?
Shut up. So, Trespass, how do you feel that I watch movies for fun?
Mad.
Why?
Because I'm watching all these movies in suffrage.
But why don't you watch a movie for fun?
Because I don't have time to watch anything for fun. And I know I don't, and I'm not irresponsible like you, because I know it'll be the night before one of these shows, and you'll be like, man, I'm miserable. I have to watch 11 movies within 5 hours.
That's not even possible. Shut up.
I know, but you'll do it somehow.
No,
you'll be mad
the worst thing I ever did was leave myself like 6 movies for the 2003 show in one day, and like a couple of them were like 2 hours. That was the worst thing I ever did to myself. The only other thing that I ever did that was nearly as bad was I stayed up all night and needed to watch the 2 Rob Zombie Halloweens before the show. It was like some weird situation. I was like miserable there too. But I will never let myself get behind that far again. Like, I'm never gonna need to watch 6 movies before a recording, like one day before recording. That was literally horrible. Like, I was so, after like the 3rd movie, I was just wanted to kill myself. I was so upset.
Yeah, dude, I would just cry. I wouldn't even do it.
Oh, and like 4 out of the 6 were like subtitled.
Yeah. Yeah, buddy, that was stupid.
Yeah. It crept up on me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Trespass, 1992. This is an action kind of movie. But it stars, look at this cast. Bill Paxton, Ice-T, William Sadler, Ice Cube.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. So this movie is really cool. William Sadler and Bill Paxton are firefighters, and they're entering a burning building, and there's a dude in there who's like crazy sounding, and basically tells them that he, buried this treasure that was stolen from this church years ago, like really like millions of dollars worth of treasure, like gold, that was stolen from this church. And he hands them the map to it, and then he, like, as he's on fire, and he like burns, and so they're like, man, we should go check this out. And they're from like Arkansas or something. I forget where they go. I forget where it is. It's a city though that they go to. I want to say Chicago, but I don't think it's Chicago. Anyway, so they go to these abandoned buildings in like the deep ghetto, you know, and they're up there and they have this map and they start digging through the floors. They got like a pickaxe and a metal detector and stuff like that. And eventually they break through the floor and, well, nothing's there, and it's all these pipes and stuff. Anyway, there's a drug deal going on the roof of this apartment thing, this abandoned building, and it goes bad, and this guy's killed, and then they see Bill Paxton and William Sadler are witnesses to it, so they go to like, kill him or whatever, or like at least confront him, but William Sadler grabs one of the dudes and holds him hostage, and they barricade themselves in the door, and Ice-T is the leader of this like group, and the guy that they grabbed was his little brother Lucky. So it's like a standoff, it's like a siege narrative, and also the gold comes into play eventually, and it's a really good, awesome movie. Like it's one of my favorite movies ever. It's one that I've talked about the least, but I got Ice-T and Ice Cube in the same movie. It's awesome. It's an early role for them.
Do you think how do you think they address each other on the set? Do you think they're like Ice?
Yeah.
Ice. And then they're like, which Ice?
Or do you think they're like T and Cube?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Because I feel like being like Ice Cube would be too much.
It's a really awesome movie, man. I love it. I watch it on VHS because that's how I own it. And I always try to pop this in like once a year, like
for fun.
For fun, yeah. It's a comfort movie for me. I've loved it since I was a kid. It's really fun, and it has Bradley in it, Art Evans, who plays I know him because he plays the guy in Tales from the Hood, like the old dude with the old like black dude with the gray hair, and he's like talking about the voodoo, the slaves that were killed in the house.
Yeah.
He's in this, and he's my favorite character. Anyway, so moving on here, as per my run through 91, I watched Silence of the Dicks, and this is a great move, obviously. Hannibal Lecter, Clarice Starling, she's wants to be an FBI detective, and she gets to I think she's still in training, right?
Yeah, she's still like in school and stuff.
So she gets to talk to this Hannibal Lecter. They have a case, this Buffalo Bill murder, where this man is abducting and killing and disposing of women, and he is a murderer, and I think he was a former patient. I think Lecter knows who he is, and he was like a former patient, so he has information, but he's like very manipulative, and he's like very super smart, and Clarice is smart too, but who's smarter? That's the question. And it's this mental warfare thing that's happening, but there's like, you see a real human side to Hannibal Lecter too, who is a murdering cannibal, and you see, like, it's just such a like engaging movie. Like, Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter is one of the great horror performances of all time, and he's so engaging to watch, and you always think that he's like 2 steps ahead of everybody else. And I think this movie is like debated as if it's horror or not. I think it is, man. Like, it just I get that it's like more of a psychological thriller, but at the same time, I feel like the Buffalo Bill thing is pretty scary. That whole thing with him cutting women's skin off and wearing them. It's a little scary. Do you ever notice that, like, they say that he's picking up like fatter women, but like none of the chicks that you see are like really fat?
Yeah, I always
Like, the girl in the hole is
thought.
not fat at all.
I mean, she's like a little chunky, but she's not. When I think of fat, I'm thinking like morbidly
Yeah,
obese,
I
and
think
she's
of
just
you
like,
when I think of fat.
oh.
I'm
She
just-
was just, what was he looking for? A size? He was like, hey, are you a size 14?
Dude, he's
Isn't
so
that
creepy.
Yeah, like you wouldn't have to be a size 14, are you? And she's like, what? But yeah, they're not. I always thought that with the movie too. Like it seems like she's not, because he wants them to lose weight and have their skin be all loose, and it's just they're not obese in my opinion. But
So would
whatever.
you consider this film LGBTQ? Mainly the T.
I mean, I feel like it kind of puts them in a bad light there, buddy.
I get that, but so does most of the.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I guess like it has those
But,
elements
like, you
to
would
it.
consider Sleepaway Camp a transgender horror movie, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I never really. I mean, I don't really. When I'm watching my movies, I'm not thinking about LGBTQ
Oh,
stuff.
God.
But
I'm just saying, like, I always think of like, cause this is like one of the. I know that it puts it's like puts it in kind of a bad light, but I'm saying like, why is it like? But you feel like people like Angela are kind of celebrated. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, yeah. I see
It's
what-
because it's
yeah,
a
you're saying it
slasher
puts
film
it-
and it's like more fun. You know what I mean? It's like you don't take it serious. And people were mean to Angela, honestly. But Buffalo
Right.
Bill is just kind of a nutcase.
Right.
But I don't know if it's because I don't think it's like because he's trans. I just think he's an idiot.
Yes.
But yeah, you kind of think about that, and you don't really get a whole lot of like transgender killers.
Yeah, I never really thought about it.
But I would say Angela and Buffalo Bill is one, right?
Hmm.
Interesting.
Indeed. Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, I would be shocked if this wasn't on, if everybody considered it horror and it was on everybody's list.
Yeah,
I would be,
and
I would be truly shocked.
I always just think of how like growing up, even anytime you see like a horror decoration or something, that's Hannibal Lecter is always one of the people standing right there with Ghostface and Michael Myers. So he's always been like.
I think if they
in
didn't
that
give him a
realm of
cool
horror
mask,
characters.
it might not
Yeah.
have been as popular.
Yeah, because when you think, I mean, Buffalo Bill is like the more messed up character in the movie, but you always think of Lecter because of the mask and his smarts and whatnot. But
My favorite scene in the whole movie is when he's listening to Goodbye Horses, and it's like, goodbye horses, and he's like, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
well, there are one or two F words for the show.
No, I figured Jeremy's gonna give at least 10,
Oh yeah, I didn't think
which
about
is our
that.
special guest announcement.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, guys.
But dude, that scene used to creep me the hell out when I was a kid, and I
know,
thought
I was
I
like,
didn't
what the
understand what he was doing with his penis.
I didn't either. I was like, whoa.
I just thought he didn't have a penis.
Yeah, I didn't know what I thought he had. I don't know, buddy. It's so weird, cringe. That song is so perfect.
Goodbye horses. Yeah, I love that song. Do you?
I do, yes. I think I almost like it better in the Maniac remake, though.
Yeah, it's really really good in there too, with the chick. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah. And another move too, once I forget what.
Well, buddy, you're kind of cutting out a little bit right now.
So are you? I'm scared.
Oh no, I hope my internet isn't going out.
We have poor connection.
No.
What shall we do?
We shall talk about our poor connection and buy time.
It went away. Hurry up and tell me the rest of your moves.
Okay. Silence of the Lambs, obviously great. I'd be shocked if it didn't make everybody's list. Now, this is a film that I could see missing some lists. And it is the other big Is It horror film from 91. And that is Cape Fear, which was my 42nd watch as per my run through 91.
Right.
And Cape Fear follows a pissed off Robert De Niro who just got out of prison and like literally instantly is going for revenge like hour one, minute one. He's actually going after the defense lawyer of his, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah. Because
he didn't do a good job.
And he has a wife and a child played by Juliette. Is it Juliette Lewis?
Yeah, the girl, yes.
Okay. Yeah, she's pretty young in this role. It's an early role for her. I think she was just 18. She's playing a 15-year-old though. Juliette Lewis plays dumb really good because she's a little dumb in this film, or at least naive. There's a movie someone gave me for Patreon a while back from the 90s called California with a K. I don't know why I said it like that because the K didn't affect that. But it was called California with a K, and it had Brad Pitt in it as well as Juliette Lewis, and she plays like a dumbass in that one. That's a really good thriller too. But yeah, this one, so Robert De Niro is like, I mean, it's really the Robert De Niro show. Everything he says is like douchebaggery or cunning. He's an asshole.
He's got that cockiness too.
What did he go to prison for?
Pretty sure it was like beating on women, I think, or raping someone. It was something bad. Like, it was actually something bad like that, I believe. Yeah, something to do with like abusing women.
I don't understand. Like, this movie always like perplexes me in a way because like they make Robert De Niro too cool in a way. You know what I mean? Like, you get this, it's freaking Robert De Niro, and he's like smart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, at the same, like, it makes you almost sort of like him, and then you're like, dude, this guy's a complete douchebag. And he's like, like that one girl that was really annoying that he like beats up, like, I assume rapes and beats up.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, come on, like, this is awful. Like, I almost wish I don't know, like, it's a double-edged sword for me because on one hand, like, he does deliver a good performance, but on the other hand, it's like, it's Robert freaking De Niro, dude. He's like too known to do this because like you always sort of like Robert De Niro no matter what, you know?
I mean,
do you get what I'm saying?
I do, but like I feel like he's not always playing the good guy in movies though.
I know,
either,
but even when he's playing like a bad guy, like in Casino or like Goodfellas or something, like I still like him.
Yeah, you like him, but I think that's also part of I think that's why I like this movie, because he is likable and he's casual and he's like, yeah, just beat up and rape the girl, and then the next day he's like acting like normal old Robert De Niro. I think it adds to it as opposed to making him just a scumbag where it's like, oh, obviously this guy went to prison. Like, I don't know. I kind of like that element to it.
I don't know, man.
Where he's like got that gentleman almost character. He's manipulative. I mean, with the stupid daughter, he's trying to be all charming and innocent, and I think it just makes it scarier because, you know, the lawyer guy, he's scared for his family, and you look at this guy and he's acting like he's not going to do them any harm, but you know it's going to end badly. And then the whole ending, I think it's like such a big turn for him. He's just full on crazy. So I don't know. I love his performance. I think Robert De Niro can do no wrong.
I just don't know about any of the I just don't really know about any of the. It seems like I don't know. I don't buy a lot of stuff in this movie.
Like what?
Like the girl that gets violently raped and attacked and doesn't press charges.
Yeah, but I feel like that happens in a lot of movies.
Like, I don't think that's one of those things like that you have to press charges for, though.
Yeah,
that's assault. Like, I don't know,
and that
like,
they know who did it.
yeah,
So
like, I don't know, like, if you go and like shoot someone in the face, like, that person doesn't have to press charges on you for you. Like, they're not, like, like, I don't know if it works like that, man. I don't know. Like, they know that he did it. It's like, I don't know. It might,
wait,
but
did they know that? Did she admit that he's the one that did it?
I mean,
You know what I mean?
I just feel like the police wouldn't be like, well, I guess we're just gonna let this one go. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
they're
it
gonna be
is
like,
a
ma'am,
severe
who
crime.
did this to you? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
it's
I understand.
there's a lot of stuff in here where I'm like, come on. Like, that like, this person's gonna, it's like, but I get this feeling where it's like the whole world's like against this guy, almost like unintentionally, or like Katie basically like orchestrates this thing to, like, he's always one step ahead. And again, it goes back to the smart killer of the 90s, which really started with these two movies. And it progressed with like Scream, but the killer was like way smarter. It was more like psychological. It started here, but I don't know. I'm not as in love with Cape Fear as other people are. I do think it's really good, but it's definitely not something that I think is anything as good as Scorsese's other movies.
I wouldn't say it's as good as his other movies, but I fell in love with it kind of this time around. I used to think in my head like, oh, I kind of put it off because I'm thinking this is like an over 2 hour long movie, and I always thought of it as being boring and not having much to the plot, but I was completely enthralled with it this time around. But it's one that I'm very iffy on the horror aspect, though I do think the ending has like packs the punch with the horror, but I feel like this one's a little more controversial than the Silence of the Lambs would be. But we'll see what everyone decides on when it comes to the actual show.
All right, and next up, my second 1992 watch of my run through 91. We have number 43 here. This was listed as 91 somewhere, so I'm not sure why I didn't double check, but I just assumed it was 91. And it is a film that I actually owned on VHS, and it's called Severed Ties, and it basically follows this dude who is continuing his father's research down in his mother's mansion, down in the laboratory, where he is working on regeneration. So, like, lizards can regenerate their tails, some of them. So he's trying to take the genes from that and, like, figure out a way to manipulate it into human DNA, so we can regrow limbs and organs and stuff like that. His mother wants to sell the formula, and he's against it. And there's an accident, and his arm gets cut off, and he uses the formula, and he grows a lizard arm. And it's a murderous lizard arm, and he meets this bum and all these homeless people, and it's basically he's trying to stop his mom from stealing the formula. Very reminiscent of like a Frank Henenlotter movie or a Stuart Gordon movie. It's like, you could tell that, like, in terms of direct-to-video stuff, that they were trying to copy that sort of Full Moon-ish formula. This was also a Fangoria production. Oliver Reed's in this film, actually. But it's you could tell that they were going for something specific, and it works a little bit, but it's not great. There's this sort of noir element where it starts out with the lead telling the story from like a black and white thing, and he's like, had I known what would happen that day, I would have turned and walked away, or something. You know what I mean? Like that like noir style thing, which I really liked. I thought that was neat and elevated the production a little bit. So yeah, that's Severed Ties. I gave it a 6. Well, I didn't mind it, but it's again, it's not eligible for 91 lists, but I'm counting it as a watch.
I started double checking that stuff like 3 times before I watch a movie, because for 85 I watched like 3 movies that were 84, and I did the same for 72, so I am done doing that.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yes.
Okay, Black Demons, 1991. Also known as Demoni 3. Also known as Demons 3. This film is about a group that goes to this little area where there's like a voodoo culture. I'm not sure if they say where they're at, but this dude has sort of these like powers, and he basically resurrects the dead through like during the ceremony, and these literal slave zombies come out of the earth, which is weird to me that they call it like black demons. Like, do they literally mean black people?
No, buddy, they just mean dark demons.
Well, because it's literally a movie about slaves as zombies.
Oh, well,
like slaves that were killed on the plantation, and it's called Black Demons.
Well, then I guess they would be black demons, technically.
It's weird. I feel like that's a bit racist.
It's very, like, to the point. Black
Right.
demons, not white demons.
So, yeah, these, zombies come out, want revenge. They got, like, scythes and axes and hooks and stuff like that. And, they're killing the teens. I liked it. I thought it was cool. It didn't have that much atmosphere, and my biggest issue was the Shriek Show DVD that I have. There was like this hissing, and like the dialogue was so like low compared to the movie that I couldn't hear what any of the characters were ever saying. So it had some bad mixing there on that DVD, which apparently was very consistent with Shriek Show releases of the time. So that kind of sucked. I would love to see like a Vinegar Syndrome or a Severin Films get a hold of this one and do a restoration of it. It's funny because it's called Demons, but it's a movie about zombies. This is a zombie movie.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, that's Demoni 3. I gave it a 6.
Cool.
Then I watched Class of Nuk'em High Part 2. Subhumanoid Meltdown from 1991. As per my run through 91, this is my 45th watch. Basically follows an investigative journalist guy who's working at his school and trying to figure out what these people are doing in the like radioactive nuclear power plant thing. They give a recap at the beginning of the movie of the first one, and I didn't remember anything really, but I did watch the first one. I did like it for like 86 or whatever we did that. There's a lot of these movies, just, you know what, some trauma movies, like the bad ones or the ones that aren't as good, just overstay their damn welcome. Like, it's funny at first, and like, you know, there's boobs and people wearing like G-strings like all at the school and stuff like that, and then there's, you know, these funny belly button mouths that are funny at first, and then it's just like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, what where are we going? And it just goes nowhere. So I didn't mind it, but it's not something I'm gonna run back to. I can't believe this like is a franchise, because like the first one was alright, but this one sucks. How'd they continue? Not sucks. It's okay, but it's just like it's not really memorable.
How many more are there?
There's a third one, and then there's Return to Nuk'em High Part 1 and 2.
Jeez.
Yeah. I gave it a 5 out of 10. And that's it for mine.
All right.
Besides my blind spot and the 2 that we saw together.
All right, not too many moves.
Yes.
All right, so let me pull up my list here. And first up, I watched, as per my run through 91, I watched Highway to Hell. This was on Tubi, which I don't think it was on there before unless I missed it, but I was just scrolling through Tubi to see if there was any 91 movies I missed, because I pretty much watched everything on there at this point, and this is on there. So Yeah, this is basically about a guy and his girlfriend. They're on their way to, I believe, yeah, they're going to Las Vegas because they are secretly going to elope and get married. And, they're a little bit like worried about it and kind of paranoid that people are following them and whatnot. But they're on the way there, and on the way they like stop at this gas station, and the guy running the gas station is actually the guy from Misery, the old man from Misery, the sheriff, which I've never seen him in anything else, so that was cool. And he tells them, I think he tells them about it's been a while since I watched this, but like about a shortcut, or tells them not to go down the road. I forget what he tells them, but they end up going down this road, and while they're going down this road, they encounter this demon guy, and he kidnaps the girl, and the rest of the movie is basically the boy trying to figure out how he's going to get her back. I like the look of the movie. It was cool, especially the beginning. It had that very small town, almost road horror feel, especially when they're at the gas station just talking with the old guy and stuff like that, and then when they're actually on the road. But when they encounter like the demon dude and he takes her, things get a little bit goofy there, and you just have strange looking characters. Almost reminds me of something like Nightbreed or something like that, just weird fake stuff like hell. It's supposed to be like the highway to hell, that's what it is. So just a lot of weird stuff there going on that's not necessarily what I usually like. But with that being said, I didn't think it was too bad of a film. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Then after that, I watched, as for my 31 Days of Horror that I'd been pre-recording, I watched Santa's Sleigh. Yes, a Christmas movie from 2005. And this was a first-time watch. And I know it's a Christmas movie, but it was next up on the list of the way I'm doing my 31 Days of Horror this year, so I figured, why not? It seemed like a fun movie anyway, and I shall watch what I want. But Santa's Sleigh, basically, it
Dude,
opens
what
up...
the hell is wrong with you?
Oh, I was wondering if you were still there, because I knew you were going to flip out on me.
Don't watch Santa's Sleigh in freaking summer.
I have watched Santa's Sleigh.
Don't do that.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Don't do that ever again.
Okay, never again. This is like the one time, okay, I swear. Wait, we watched Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, though, for 91.
I know, but it doesn't even feel like a Christmas movie.
It does. No. Whatever, that's a different argument for a different show. But Santa's Sleigh, basically, about a killer Santa. Well, it's about Santa Claus, and he essentially goes mad one year, and he's going on this murder spree around town, and you find out that it's because years and years ago he lost a bet with this elderly man, and it meant that he had to be good for all these years, and now the time is up on this particular year, so he's back to being scary demon-like Santa. And he's going around killing people and causing all these problems, and it's pretty much centered around this young boy and his girlfriend, and the boy's grandfather, who's a little bit weird and doesn't really like Christmas, and you learn why, of course, in the movie why that is. And that is the story. This is a pure horror comedy. It's very high on the comedy aspects. It's kind of fun. The beginning has like a dinner scene, family dinner scene. It's got Rebecca Gayheart and James Caan, and James Caan's not even credited in the movie, but I liked it. I thought it was a fun time, fun little Christmas movie. I didn't think I was gonna like it at first because it starts off with like just a punch of ridiculousness and you know exactly what you're getting into, but it kind of mellows out a bit throughout it, and I enjoyed the characters. Had a decent Christmas atmosphere in my opinion. There was, snow and stuff like that on the roads. Even had a few creepy moments with Santa Claus that I thought were good. So overall, I thought it was fun. This is one that I would continue to watch around actual Christmas time each year. So I give that a 7.5 out of 10. Then after that, I watched Food of the Gods, which is...
Did you mention that it stars Bill Goldberg?
Oh yes, it stars Bill Goldberg, who I don't know who that is.
Seriously?
I don't really know who that is.
He was like a massive professional wrestler. Like, huge in the 90s. Like, one of the biggest.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I don't know who that is, because I don't care.
He's Santa.
I know, yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know what his significance was as a person.
Jesus.
I'm sorry!
You don't know shit.
Dude, I don't roast you throughout... I kind of do, I guess. But anyway, after that, I watched Food of the Gods, and I watched this for show I did with Derek, Celluloid Dissections. That should be out here soon. It'll actually be our debut on the new network, so stay tuned for that. But Food of the Gods, I had picked this movie to do on the show because I picked it up at a thrift store about a year ago and thought it looked cool. Basically about this town, and there's this stuff that they call the Food of the Gods, and it turns out it's making all the animals and even like some of the insects turn into these big mutant creatures that are attacking people. So essentially a killer animal movie. The main focus is like rats and these horrible looking wasps, but I enjoyed this one. I thought it was a fun time. The effects, a lot of it is done in that miniature way where, you know, it's just a miniature house and then they have a normal sized rat walking over it to make it look like it's a giant rat. And I actually like that stuff. They did that a lot in older monster type movies back then, and I like it. It's kind of charming in a way. It looks really ridiculous sometimes, but that just adds to the charm. I enjoyed this movie quite a bit, and you can hear me talk more about it on Celluloid Dissections. Then after that was 16 Candles and Breakfast Club, which we'll talk about. And then after that was Day of the Animals, which was the other feature that we did on the podcast, Celluloid Dissections. And this one was pretty cool too. It's another killer animal movie of sorts where these people go hiking up into the wilderness and all the animals, for whatever reason, are just being vicious. It's not that they're like giant animals or anything like that, but they just start kind of attacking people, you know, like the birds, even the dogs and snakes, every type of animal. It's got Leslie Nielsen in it, and he's definitely the highlight of the film.
I hate Leslie Nielsen in horror movies.
You do?
Yeah, he's not good. She's just not good.
He is. I just think you probably don't. It's hard to differentiate him from his comedy stuff, I feel.
I just think he's like one of the most overrated things. Even his comedies are overrated.
All right, well, R.I.P. Leslie Nielsen. Sorry about the disrespect. I will admit, like, when he's playing a serious character, I find him hard to take serious. It's in this movie though, in particular. I mean, it is funny some of the situations he's in, and it makes it funny. But even when he's being serious, I can't help but kind of smile and laugh because it's hard to. It seems like a parody almost of himself, but the movie was good. It was another fun one. It also had the main woman from Pieces in it. So forget what her name is, the actress's name, but she was in it, and I think her husband's also in it. And they utilize the animals quite well in it. So again, though, I'll talk more about that on Celluloid Dissections. Then after that was my blind spot. Then after that, I watched Train to Busan because I had never seen it before, and that would be stupid to do this podcast, have it not seen it. And I see what people mean. It's a fantastic movie. The funny thing is I watched this entirely at work. Yes, this 2-hour movie at work because we had a scheduled power outage the one day that lasted about an hour and a half, but then I also had my 45-minute lunch break, so it all kind of evened out there. And yeah, it was easy to pay attention to because I was just watching it off my phone with earbuds in, ignoring everyone else, surprisingly. So, but it's a very good movie. It does tug at the heartstrings quite a bit, and just it keeps going all the way through. You know, I just always thought it sounded kind of like dumb, like, okay, this whole movie takes place on a train. What all can they really do? But, you know, it's not all on a train, and every moment is kind of, there's something going on, something crazy going on. It doesn't really miss a beat. So I thought it was really good, and I'll just say I gave that movie a 9 out of 10. Then after that, I watched Session 9. That's one of the summer series movies I hadn't watched before, and
dude, how many did you watch?
A lot. I'm sorry. I'm trying to watch these movies. I can't watch movies for fun because I'm watching all these movies. I'm sorry. So Session 9 is a movie that I watched, and it's basically about these guys who have this job. I believe they're getting rid of asbestos and then abandoned insane asylum, and some weird stuff starts to kind of take place while they're doing it. And I'll just say, like, I wasn't a huge fan of this movie. I thought it was kind of, I was into it at first, but then I just kind of felt it got a little bit slow and draggy and boring for me. maybe I'll try to rewatch it because it seems like a lot of people are very high on this, but I just wasn't too into it. I don't know if I just don't care for that insane asylum setting or what it is, but I mean, the characters are good, the guys are interesting, but I just felt like there wasn't. I thought it was going to be really scary, and it really just isn't to me. But whatever. It's still a good movie. But yeah, that's that one. Then I watched The Wig, a Korean horror movie. This is for my 31 Days of Horror as well, and this is a movie I picked up on one of my little horror hunting trips and thought it looked cool. Basically about a haunted wig. A girl, she had cancer, but then she is discharged from the hospital because they're giving her this medication that's supposed to be like curing to her, and as a present, her sister, who's actually mute due to an accident she was in, buys her this wig, and because the girl, obviously she's bald, so she buys her this wig, and when the girl puts on the wig, it's strange things start to kind of happen to her. She's kind of seeing these scary images, and she also takes on that sort of like full of herself personality and becomes obsessed with the wig. Like she wants to sleep in it and just not be without it ever. So kind of becomes obsessed. I thought it was pretty good. It had some really creepy jump scares, and it was an intriguing story. It sounds like it would be dumb, but it was intriguing. There were some times where I felt it slowed down a bit and could have benefited from a few more scares here and there, but it was engaging for the most part. Then after that, I watched Class of Nuk'em High Part 2, just like you, as per my run through 91, and I didn't really care for it too much. I do not have time for these stupid movies. And it was a little too ridiculous. It had belly button stuff. I don't like belly button stuff. And, I mean, it looked disturbing, I'll give it that. But this movie was a little bit too goofy for me. I was not a big fan. So I shall just say that. Then after that, I watched Wreck. I've seen Quarantine before, never seen Wreck, and I seen Quarantine years ago, but watching Wreck, it's like Quarantine all comes back to me. I see what people mean, where it's the exact same movie, essentially, but Wreck is very, very creepy. I thought it was really good, probably one of the better found footage type of movies out there, for sure. And it's a pretty short movie, too. It's runs an hour and 15 minutes, I believe, and just gets right to it. These people, they're kind of interviewing these people at the fire station for their little nighttime show that they do, and they get called to this place, this apartment building, and they end up quarantined there because there's some sort of infection going around. I thought it was great. I thought it was very creepy, very similar. I mean, Quarantine is very similar to this for sure, but I think they're both good, honestly, but Wreck, I thought it was really good and very scary, especially at the end. So, yeah, and then finally after that, I watched 976 Evil Part 2 as per my run through 91, and at first I was kind of like not too into it. It was actually one I fell asleep and then finished in the morning, but when I woke up in the morning, I was like way more into it. I just think it's a fun little movie. It's not really like the first one at all, in my opinion, besides the general concept of the horoscope, of course, but I had a good time with it. There's some just characters that were entertaining, and there's one kill in particular that I thought was entertaining and had a lot of blood to it, and it's a fun movie, honestly. I liked it, and I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad I kind of got back into it, because I was kind of like not feeling it at first, but then I was like all in. So, but that is it for all my moves. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. So we watched The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles, not in that order. A little John Hughes double feature. It had been so long since I seen 16 Candles.
Yeah, I probably haven't seen either of them since I was 17. I know for you it's actually probably way longer than that, but I used to watch these movies all the time. Growing up, they were my mom's favorites, and they became my favorites. But then when I got into horror, I kind of abandoned every other movie. So it had been since I was in high school that I've seen these, which doesn't seem like that long, but for me it is long.
Yeah, 16 Candles is one that I've always liked. It's weird, because, like, I've always thought, it's a sort of chick flick in a way.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because it centers around Molly Ringwald's character, and it's definitely like more female relatable, I guess. But I've always thought it was pretty relatable too, just in general, just in the sense that like you're going through that weird stage where you just like feel like nobody really gets you and you don't really know what to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you don't really get yourself, and then especially like if you like nobody's giving you attention, like your family.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I get it. I think that it's pretty cool. And then of course there's like some funny stuff. Honestly, like if I'm gonna be 100% honest, like I think the Duck Long Dong guy could be completely removed from the movie.
I never was a fan. It's supposed to be like extra comedy, but I never really found his character funny, and I always thought it to be a little bit too hokey and ridiculous in the film.
And
That's always been my least favorite.
It would be super offensive now. Like you couldn't do that now. It's so stereotypical and just like the gong playing every time he's on the screen and stuff like that. I don't see that flying today. And honestly, it's not very funny. Like nothing with him is really funny to me. But you know, we were talking about that a little bit about like, man, there would be a lot of stuff in this movie that wouldn't fly today.
Yeah, the whole movie wouldn't fly. Like there was so much.
Yeah.
Like there's words that are said, there's actions done to women, there's the racist remark. There's a lot, but I mean, I've always liked the movie. It definitely is timeless.
They say the F word, not the 4-letter F word, like a few times.
Yeah, it's funny. That was just in that documentary for what was that called? My Night. That freaking Mark Patton's documentary. That was one of the movies they showed as an example of 80s movies, that her on the bus saying that to that kid. But yeah, there's a lot. I mean, that it is very of its time, but at the same time, it's a movie that I think anyone can still enjoy today and kind of put that stuff behind them. But it is a simple plot.
I think that you watch a movie like that, and like that's why I never understand these people that are like, ban the movie, you know, like pull this shit from Netflix. I'm like, you watch it and you see why that's a problem. You know, you see why, like, okay, that we've come such a long way from this, you know. And it's some stuff like that is embarrassing, right? Like, I'm not saying everything in this movie is, but you know, some stuff that you see that didn't age well is embarrassing. But it's like good that you're embarrassed, right? It's like good that you feel negatively about it, because it shows that, you know, stuff like in that situation isn't cool anymore. And you learn from it, and then I think it's good. I don't understand the idea of erasing history, because then you don't know about it. You don't know that it was like that.
Yeah, I think it's completely dumb. I mean, you can't just get rid of it. You should. It's a learning experience to watch this stuff. If it upsets you, you don't have to watch it, but at the same time, you should watch it, because it shows what you can improve upon in the future. Yeah, it's like people are just so done with that stuff now.
That's my biggest thing. If you don't like it, don't watch it, and don't you know. But why ruin it for everybody else that does like it? Because there's you know, and 16 Candles. It's a good movie. I actually like some parts of it better than Breakfast Club, but I think as a whole, Breakfast Club is like the much better movie. But even Breakfast Club has some of that in it.
Oh yeah, it does.
So you know, even a film like Breakfast Club, which I think a lot of people consider like sort of a masterpiece of that era of the John Hughes, like Brat Pack, you know, teen comedy movies of the 80s. I think a lot of people think that that's one of the best. You know, it has some stuff that didn't age so well in it too. But I don't know. I'm a huge fan of Breakfast Club. I think it's a great movie. And I'm actually surprised. What I was saying was like, you know, it's funny to me that probably like nobody has, you know, these probably haven't been on Netflix in a long time. Because if they were, I would have seen an article like millennials are discovering 16 Candles and losing their mind over the offensive nature of the film or something, and because you see that every time, like all the time, like people are discovering what was it was like Billy Madison or something, you know what I mean, and or pissed off or something. You see that every once in a while. Oh no, it was Ace Ventura, that's what it was.
Okay.
And they're boycotting it, and I'm just like, Jesus, man. There was a couple other ones too that didn't age so well, and people like find them on Netflix and check them out for the first time. Oh, Blank Check. It was Blank Check. It was on Disney Plus. Have you ever seen Blank Check?
No, I've never even heard of that.
It's a movie where this kid rips off like this guy, this like criminal, and he steals his $1 million essentially, and he like buys a nice like house and stuff like that, and does all this stuff with his $1 million. And there's an FBI agent who's like investigating this guy, and apparently the kid's like saying it's his boss or whatever, and she's like smoking hot, and he's like 12, and he has a crush on her, so he's like taking her on a date and stuff like that, and she's like obliging because of trying to investigate this case. And then like there's like at the end of the movie, like there's like literally a connection between them or something, and she like gives him a kiss and stuff like that and says, call me in like 10 years, and everybody like lost their shit. It does not age well at all. It really doesn't. But it's a good movie. Anyway, so yeah, Breakfast Club, I don't know, it's just insanely quotable to me. There's like tons of like great scenes, great cast. Everybody in that cast is super notable except for the weird chick.
Yeah, dude, I never realized how annoying she is until watching it this time. Like, I always thought she was annoying, but then I always thought she redeemed herself at the end, but she really doesn't. I find her very annoying the entire movie.
I agree. Watching it this time, I noticed a little bit of flaw with that character. Like, doesn't it feel like there's parts of the movie that are missing or something? Mm-hmm. I bet you.
Yeah, like there's development.
I've never bought it on disc or anything, but I bet you there's deleted scenes.
Well, I thought the Criterion put it out and actually put in scenes that were missing on a special disc or something.
They probably did.
Yeah, and they look really bad because they obviously didn't make the cut. But yeah, I would actually like to see that because it feels like there's development missing. You always think like, oh, it all comes together. They fight the entire movie, then at the end, they all love each other. But really, it feels like they fight the whole movie
very fast.
All of a sudden, they're all in love with each other. Yeah. I never thought of it like that, but especially Molly Ringwald and Judd Nelson's character. It's just, he's completely disrespectful towards her and her to him as well. And then,
dude, that's bad. I hate whenever like I start seeing flaws in like a movie that I've loved forever. That's the problem with being a critical. Look, you would have never thought like that 5 years ago. Watching it again, you would just watch the movie. But whenever you spend your life critiquing movies or like looking for things that are wrong with them or right with them, it's not all about wrong with them. But whenever you're looking at a movie critically for so long, you really do like it. It doesn't destroy. I still love The Breakfast Club, but it definitely like shows flaws to stuff that you thought were flawless.
Yeah, even like with the nerd in the movie, it's like at the end they still trick him into doing their assignment for him, so they're still bad people making that kid do. It just feels like you always look at this movie like, oh, it's such a big lesson. I think
he kind of took it upon himself to do it.
Well, they kind of brought like the girls like, I mean, we don't really all need to write the same paper, am I right? And you're very smart, and he's like, you just don't want to do it. And she's like, well, yeah, but I don't know, but I still love the film so much. I've always thought it was really funny, and the music's great in it. The music cues are good in it. I mean, it is still a masterpiece in my opinion, but you do notice things over time.
Right. Yeah. John Hughes, R.I.P., brought us such amazing awesome movies that are super relatable and stuff like that. And I remember when I used to get like detention or in school suspension and stuff, I always wanted it to be like The Breakfast Club, and it never really got there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, so all right, blind spot time. Go ahead and send our guest a text since we should be, there soon.
All right.
And yeah, so my blind spot was The Boy in the Striped Pajamas from 2008.
Right.
This follows, first of all, let me just say this. I was utterly confused on why all these Nazis were speaking English.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a reason?
I do not, because if I'm being honest, it's been a long time since I've watched this movie.
Well, the whole movie's in English.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is, yes.
That makes no sense.
You are right. I mean, yeah, I guess I never thought about that.
I think it was more of a stylistic thing for American audiences because, hey, we can't do this film foreign language. I don't know. So everybody speaks like proper British English, but they're German or Jew or from European countries. Anyway, there's a kid, and he's like a young little kid, like 9, I think, or 8, and his father is like a higher ranking Nazi, and they move to this area where he's going to be doing some military stuff at the near concentration camp. And this little boy's super bored, and he's not allowed out of his house, and he wanders to a fence. He finds the concentration camp, which his family told him were like farmers, and he meets a little boy, also 8 years old, who's a Jew and is on the other side of the fence. And I'll say, like, the amazing stuff in this movie that I thought was really good is the way that it's told through the lens of a child. And
Yes.
what I mean by that is he doesn't really understand the gravity of the situation. He knows Jews are bad. He doesn't really know why. He knows that he doesn't know what the camp is. He doesn't know what the living quarters are like. He only knows what his parents have told him, which is not very much. And then you get the sense that like he's one to question the beliefs anyway, the minor beliefs that are bestowed upon him from his teacher and whatnot. He questions them anyway, while his sister just hook, line, and sinker, these people are bad. She does a whole report on how the Jews have hurt the German race and stuff like that. And you can see this kid's really not vibing with that. And it makes you think that, like, it makes you think a lot. This movie makes you think a lot. And I just think that it just makes me so angry when I watch movies like this. It really does. I knew where this movie was going from the damn start. But I will say this. I didn't see exactly where it was going. I didn't pick that up until a little bit later in the film. Then I started thinking about it. But I knew it was going to happen. Something like that was going to happen at the end. I just didn't get exactly what it was. So props to the movie for hitting me with that. But I think that there's a great scene where the kid gets his knee scraped, and there's like a Jewish worker who is like in the house. He's sort of like somebody that they trust enough to be in the house and use his labor. And he's like a potato peeler, and he like fixes the kid's knee up, and the kid's like, do I need to go to a doctor? And he's like, I don't think so. And he's like, how do you know if you're not a doctor? And he's like, I was a doctor. And he's like, you can't be a doctor, you're a potato peeler, you must have been a crappy doctor then. And you know, the old man like kind of tears up a little bit in his eyes, and it's very powerful. It's very powerful. Man, what an awful, like, to this day I think about that a lot. And I mentioned to you I wanted to check out the Holocaust Museum one day. And to this day, it's just like, I cannot believe that all that happened, man. It's just, it's insane to me. Like, when I'm watching these people be mean to these other human beings, like, horribly mean, like, I just want to kill them. Like, yes. I want to like tie them up and like beat them and be like, okay, like, do you see how this is? Do you understand now why this is wrong? And it's just like, it's horrible, man. I don't get it, man. It's like just so much hate in their heart. I don't understand it. I don't understand how humans can get to that point. But anyway, I did not cry in this movie. Surprisingly. I thought I was going to. I did not. But I got very angry. And I actually was upset at the ending a little bit, because I was like, that wasn't enough justification. I need to see something. I need to see this dude in pure misery. Like, you remember when, I don't even want to say it because it'll spoil. But yeah, I wanted to see this guy in pure misery.
I know what you were going to say, I think.
Yeah. And it just doesn't happen. It just like kind of ends, which is maybe a little bit more powerful, but at the same time, it's like really unsatisfying. Freak, man. I hate that this happened, dude. It's so many people, man.
I know. It's sad. Like, it's ridiculous. I feel like it's almost not even talked about enough. Like, it's just kinda...
No, it's not. It needs to be like one. Like, when I was in school, like, we talked about it a little bit, Red Anne Frank and stuff like that. But like, I think this is one of the most important things that has ever happened in history that should be looked at like under a damn microscope. And it is to a certain extent, but it's more like the atrocities aren't. It's more like the war that you talked about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like the concentration camps and what happened to all these people, it's just like, I just feel like it's not, like, some kids don't even know about it.
Yeah.
Like, literally some kids don't even know about it. I cannot believe it, you know? They don't understand, like, they know, like, that there was a thing called a Holocaust and a bunch of people died. They don't know anything else. Like, I've talked to kids who don't know. It's crazy. It's a shame, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I really like the movie. I came in at a 9 on that one.
Good, I'm glad. Like I said, it's been a while. I wish I could have rewatched it for this, because it's been a while. But any movie dealing with the Holocaust is like, I like it, but I don't like it because it's super depressing.
I like it because it makes me feel something. I like things that make me feel things. So anyway, go ahead.
All right, so my blind spot was Don't Tell Mom That the Babysitter Has Passed Away from 1992, aka Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Starring, what's her name, Christina Applegate, and you also have Danielle Harris as a little girl in it, and some other kids. So basically this movie is about it's a mother of 5 children ranging from, young to teenagers, and she is essentially, I think, going on this long vacation of sorts. And while she, at first they think like, heck yeah, we have the place to ourselves, we're teenagers, we can handle this, but she's like, oh, by the way, here's your babysitter, and the babysitter is this mean old lady who looks like she's 105 years old. And, she's giving them a hard time at first, but then essentially the very next day after the mom leaves, she kills over because she's old. And they're like, oh my God, what do we do? And at first they were all like, we got to get rid of her anyway. So they're kind of happy that she's dead, and they essentially like drop her body off, I think, at a church or something with a note saying she didn't have family and to please bear, like something like that. So it's kind of ridiculous. And then the rest of the movie is basically them being like, "Oh crap, we have to, get money for food and stuff because they accidentally got rid of all the money that the babysitter had on them." So the sister ends up getting this job that she gets from making a fake resume, and it's a way more established job than what she should ever be getting because she's like 17, but she lies and says she's like 28. And so she's working here and making the money, and that's basically the whole movie. Is she's got this job, and they're all trying to take care of themselves.
How creepy is Rapey McGee over there? What was
Pretty
his
creepy.
name?
Oh crap, I forget what his name was. I know who you mean. But...
Oh, dude. that guy's a creeper. Oh, he's so sleazy and gross. Ugh.
He's so like
he makes me cringe.
I don't know what he's doing.
But Rose likes him, so it's like, oh, dude, you dumb.
Yeah, but this movie was cool. I never knew what this movie was really about, but I always assumed it was just about these kids accidentally killing I thought it was gonna be like Weekend at Bernie's, where they accidentally like someone dies in their presence and they're like trying to play it off like they're still alive, or trying to get rid of the body. Dude, that movie's not garbage.
Yeah.
No.
I like my favorite. Who's your favorite character?
I know. I mean, the brother is kind of funny because he reminds me of you.
Dude, why does everybody
brother.
remind you of me?
You mean, why does every horrible character
like you're like
me of
you're Judd Nelson in this movie? I'm like, what?
You are Judd
I gotta
Nelson.
be Judd Nelson. I feel like I'm Emilio, dude.
Dude, you're not Emilio. You're Judd Nelson. You're like, I'm too cool for school, and I smoked a pack of cigarettes for Christmas. And then in this movie, you're like, I don't want to work, but I want food in the house, so I'm just gonna have the girl do everything.
Stop making me sound like a scumbag.
Dude, you think it. I know you think it too while you're watching this stuff.
I am like, oh, I'm Judd Nelson.
Yeah.
Why? Why would I think that?
You don't find these characters relatable?
Yeah, I do, but I find them all relatable usually.
I don't know why you'd. I just feel like characters that are like kind of a little scummy and down on their luck are a little more relatable for you.
Dude, screw you.
But anyway, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, the brother's funny, Kenny. He's like, the dishes are done, man.
Shot all the dishes.
Yeah.
And she's like, I like how she kind of turns into a mother. She's like, you haven't done the dishes or mowed the lawn or done anything around here.
I like when they're arguing in like the hospital, the hospital and stuff.
Yeah, she's pretending to be the mom, and she's like, what happened?
Yeah.
But
young Daniel Harris in there, playing a little tomboy.
Yeah, I mean, the little kids don't really have a big part. They're kind of just like there.
Yeah. The second youngest brother, the middle brother, he actually died
of a heroin overdose, age 24. I hate when I look up characters and I see that they died young, because then I'm watching the rest of the movie thinking like, this kid died like 10 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But
all right. So what do you rate that?
I forget what I rated it. Hold on. Where's it at? I would give it an 8.5 out of 10.
All right. I'm like heavily in the lead. I hope you know.
Dude, I just gave you a 9 out of 10 film.
I know, and I gave you an 8.5 and an 8.5 and a 10 and an 8.5, and you gave me a 3.5, a 7.5, and a 9.
Yeah, no, that was I gave you a 9, not a 3.5.
What do you mean?
You gave that a 9 for enjoyment.
You gave me the room. It's a 3.5.
You wrote a 9 out of 10 for enjoyment, and that is what we rate by.
No, bullshit.
I win.
Alright, I gotta do a randomizer.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So
wait, whose turn is it?
It's my turn, because it was my turn last time, but we both did one. So it is my turn again. Get it? You've done 4, I've done 3.
Okay, yes.
My turn. Alright, so I'm doing a randomizer right now, and mine is Panic Room. Damn it. I think I'm gonna use my skip on this one.
Dude, the joke's not funny anymore.
No, I'm actually being serious.
You say that every time too.
Is it long? I don't have time for long movies this week.
I don't have time either. You have time for movies for fun though. Panic Room. Hold on. I don't think it might be long. I don't know. Hold on. I don't even care about this. Is kind of one I just threw in there anyway. It's not even that. It's not a bad movie. It's just like, oh, it's 112 minutes.
Whatever. I'll keep it. All right, so that is our blind spot, and next week I will be doing Panic Room, apparently. Giving me all these long movies. I hope you get No Country for Old Men next.
Dude, every movie you've given me has been like 2 hours.
Yeah, but that one's really long. Okay, so we're going to move on to our featured review of Train to Busan Presents Peninsula. But first, we need to usher in our guest host, which is actually my co-host on 22 Shots, and that is NES Roller 22, aka Jeremy, or some people say Jeremy. I don't know why, but I've heard people say Jeremy. Is that do you call yourself Jeremy? What's going on?
Do I have to act responsibly on this podcast, or can I go off and say whatever I want like I usually do?
We actually don't even cuss on this podcast.
So you don't cuss?
No, I'm just kidding.
We
cuss.
accidentally say the F word like 5 times.
Yeah, we say we're
JP
not going to say the F word, but then we say it 5 times.
But, five times though? I mean, I say that in about 8 seconds, so it's gonna be
we already established that
earlier in the show. We's like,
oh,
because she called me out for using the F word twice, even though I was like quoting something or something, and I was like, oh, don't worry about it. Jeremy's gonna drop like 10 in the first 5 minutes anyway.
Well, one of my best friends calls me Jeremy, Germey, but I don't know. I don't give a shit. Anybody can call me whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
I heard that for the first time on the show iCarly. They called that kid Jeremy. His name was Jeremy. Yeah.
See, we had a dude named Jeremy in my school, but it was with a G. But it was like Jeremy.
That's horrible. Why would you name your kid that?
Jeremy? I don't know.
That's not a name.
So how you fuckers doing? I haven't talked to you in 4 months.
I know. We've been doing good. This show's been cranking along, dude. This is episode 31 already. And we started it in...
22 shots in no time.
Yeah, we started it in December. Or no, January. The first week of January. So 8 months.
Yeah.
Almost 9.
This show isn't as hardcore as the 22 shots, though, when it comes to...
Oh.
No, we go pretty hard. We just did Shark Week, and it was like 3 hours.
We did do Shark Week. It was we did our 3-hour podcast.
Prep.
And we watched...
Yeah, that prep was a little bit ridiculous.
30 shark movies or something. I won't go that hard next year. But it helped because
you watch 30 shark movies?
Collectively.
Well, collectively.
I'd lose my fucking mind. Oh, there's my one.
Well, that
you already
was
said, "How are you, fuckers?"
Yeah,
there's
was
another one.
Oh, I didn't even know.
No, but we've been going pretty hard on this show. What did you mention the other day, Carly? That our Netflix and chill is only at like episode 30.
We're on like 33, and we've done that since like 2017, I think.
Yeah. So
you should just combine and make one mega podcast, like fucking Power Rangers.
Time. Everybody keeps telling us that, but it's a different show. It's a different vibe.
What's different, JP?
JP can talk over me more on that one.
Yeah, I'm more rude on that one.
Yeah, we pretty much we established we're gonna be nice to each other more on this one, and on that one it's like toxic and we hate each other.
Yeah, as we call it, toxic and chill.
Or Netflix and toxic.
Netflix and toxic.
We call this show sometimes. We call this show his and toxic.
Or toxic and hers. It depends on which one of us is being difficult.
But no. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, we me and you have taken a break for the summer from 22 Shots essentially. So it's been easier to watch more movies for this show. But the primary thing we do is watch one main movie, and then a what we watch segment or whatever. That's been going longer on this show now because normally I do it on 22. It's weird.
But wait, are you reviewing the movies that you have to review for Patreon on the 22 shots during your What You Watch segment on this show?
Yeah, sometimes I
Oh,
don't.
that's a fucking...
No, I'll do them on both though. People are getting 2 for the price of 1. You see what I'm saying? I'm doing them for both. But I don't do a full review. I'm just like, oh, I got this for Patreon, 22 shots. I thought it was good, and kind of move on. But
Right.
just because we just document everything we watch throughout the week. We don't go like back and forth. We just go with a whole list. Like I'll be like, I watch this, then this, then this, then this. Like we just talked about Breakfast Club and 16 Candles and stuff. And this is more of like a anything goes podcast. It's not necessarily have to be horror. A lot of our blind spots are actually not horror. Blind spots are basically a list of 14 movies that she hasn't seen that I think she should, and a list of 14 movies that I haven't seen that she thinks I should. So we do one a week, and we alternate, so it's pretty fun. But so theaters are open back up. You got to go see. Was you the only person there, or did somebody eventually buy a ticket? Because you were telling us all week.
Oh man, I was so pissed off. Somebody eventually bought a ticket, and they sat like 6 seats away from me, and I was so pissed because it was only me and him in the entire theater. And it's like, why do you gotta be that kind of a douchebag?
Yeah,
it's like
just go like 8 rows down.
Yeah, can't you just go into like the row below? Why do you have to be such a dickhead and pick fucking 6 seats next to me? But it was only me and him. But I wore my mask the entire time. Of course he didn't. But I don't really give a shit. I knew that was gonna happen.
All right.
But it was cool to go to the movies again. It was pretty empty. There was like nobody in there. Anyway.
We were going to go to Unhinged yesterday. But like because of my work and time, it just was like really hard to wake up and then get there by 7, and then I had to be back at work by midnight, by 11, so it was just like too much. Because that, as you know, the only theater that's open by us, which you usually know before I do, is the Waterfront, which is kind of the far one from us. It's like 40 minutes away. So
the Classics isn't open yet.
No, it opens on the 1st, I think, or the 3rd. Yeah,
so that's not too bad, I guess.
Yeah. Which that theater is garbage, but it's nice because it's like 10 minutes away.
Yeah, but going to a garbage theater doing this, it's like, are they really gonna do what they would probably do at Waterfront?
No, they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
That place hasn't been cleaned since like 06.
Yeah, so imagine what it's gonna be during all this shit.
I know. I might have to wear gloves for that one. But yeah, so Train to Busan got a theatrical release here in the US. Which is pretty interesting.
Very weird. I think I read it was like in like 150 theaters. I saw it in IMAX. I couldn't actually believe that this movie was going to be in IMAX. I figured it had a shot because I was reading that it was going to get a release overseas in IMAX. So I figured, there was probably nothing going to be out. I know New Mutants probably wasn't going to come out before this, so I was a little bit surprised, but I do question why this got a theatrical release. I don't think there's enough. I know it's a popular movie, but I don't really
it's kind of popular among us though, and foreigners.
Yeah, I guess so, but I really don't think like people know what it is. And
no, that's, I was agreeing with you. I'm saying it's popular amongst like the small horror crowd and like people in South Korea. It's not popular like in amongst regular people.
I think people are going to be like, oh, I wonder what this is, and they're going to go see it, and they're not even going to know it's a sequel to another movie.
I think that's why they dropped the Train to Busan thing, and they're calling it Peninsula a lot now, because it's like...
But that's only overseas they're calling it Peninsula. In the US, the title is Train to Busan Presents Peninsula. That's what it's called in the US. But everywhere else, it's just called Peninsula.
On the press releases, it was being called Train to Busan Presents Peninsula. Now it's just kind of being called Peninsula a little bit.
That's weird, because on the poster it says Train to Busan Presents. Which is weird. Like, I don't know. I like I said, I think that people are going to go see it and not even know that it's a sequel to something.
Yeah, I think it's really not. It's just it's
the
really,
same world.
It's the same world. But I mean, you could watch this and never have seen the first one and
easily
have no issue with it.
as I explained this, oh, you want to give a synopsis?
Yeah, we could do a synopsis real quick. So Train to Busan Presents Peninsula follows a man who's in the military. He goes and picks up his sister and her husband and their son. And they...
How's this a synopsis? That's not a synopsis. You're telling the fucking story.
Oh, I don't have a synopsis in front of me. Do you?
I mean,
There's
the way
no
I would
synopsis
explain
on
it
IMDb.
is, the way I would pronounce it is for people who go to the now abandoned island of where the outbreak took place in the first film to try to retrieve a truck that's filled with money, and along the way they come across people who are still living on this island.
Right, that's the short version, I guess. I was just giving the
guy.
basic setup at the beginning. So yeah, I mean, there's a tragic thing that happens that leaves a brother and the brother-in-law in Hong Kong, where there's sort of this agenda against them because they were the ones that start the virus. Pretty racist, right? It's like it's racism against Asian people, different types of Asian people. So they, feel bummed out. Their family's gone. They don't have anything left to lose. They go. There's this criminal crime lord guy, and it kind of makes sense. You think about it, right? It's like, okay, this place has been uninhabited for 4 years. Well, there was a bunch of money in the entire city. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but why?
So,
How is there all that U.S. $100 bills?
I don't understand why the hell it was U.S. money. I don't know. Like, I thought it'd be diamonds or something.
There's a couple things in this movie that I was like, why did this? Very convenient, and I was like, I think that's some of the problems that I have with this movie. It's like, oh, this is so convenient that this is like this at this point, and things like that. Like when they meet and they figure out who each other are, I was like, oh my god, give me a fucking break. That has to be the most convenient thing that I've seen in years.
Did you see that coming though? I saw it coming a mile away.
Yeah, I saw the whole movie coming. I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah, as soon as they showed that scene at the beginning and he didn't help them, I was like, oh, this is coming back up.
And it's like, out of everybody, they get saved by this person. It's like, oh, come on, dude. That's like...
Not only would those people have had to survive, not only would you have to have survived, not only would they have had to stay, they would have also had to stay in the same location that you happened to go back to where the truck was lost. You know what I mean? It's just like so convenient. I agree with you 100%.
But the way that I think about this movie, it's like it puts its foot on the floor and it doesn't stop for 2 hours. And it's literally this like nonstop crazy. It's a fucking action movie with zombies. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
It definitely has a lot of action sequences. It's for
zombies
me personally.
Feel like an afterthought almost, like the whole plot.
Yeah, it's totally different. It kind of loses the emotional appeal that the first movie had. I feel like that's why so many people like the first film, because it has a very strong emotional connection to the characters. But this movie, they try to do that, but they do it in such a cheesy and cringy way that it's like, okay, that's just like the last, like I told Carly, like the last like 15 minutes of this movie, it's just like so overdrawn and cringeworthy.
It's like they knew how successful the like heartstring pulling was in the first film, and they're like, we got to do that again.
And they do it in the beginning too. It's like it's booked to end by 2 like slow-mo emotional scenes, and it's like, and then after that, it's just like boom, 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 1,000 zombies fucking raining from the sky and shit like that. It's such a weird tonal shift.
I didn't think it was that cringy. I thought it was a little effective. But I do agree with. Good.
Like there's one scene that I like cried a little bit too, but then like after that there's another.
Cried?
There's literally 3. What?
You cried?
Yes, I was sad. It was sad with the grandfather. But then there's like.
Oh yeah.
There's too many trying to be sad scenes in this movie.
I felt like this movie was like a Fast and the Furious movie in a fucking zombie world. At some points, it really did feel like the Fast and the Furious, not just because of the car chases. It was this crazy shit that would never happening.
Just the part where they pick the guy up and like they're like, oops, and they unlock the door and he gets in, and it's just like so. It feels like so actiony and reminds me of like an anime almost. Like in movie form. It's weird, but
I think that like with
I had a good time.
I had a good time too. I thought it was a good movie. I just there's the car chases was a bit much for me, especially like the first one where it's like the younger girl driving. She's like e-braking around every turn and stuff. I'm like, get out of here. Get out of here. She's like, and like the CGI wasn't the greatest with like
all the zombies
and hitting. It was much more of like an action drama movie. There was like the one scary scene for me was when he first gets out of the car and he goes up and the clouds go over the moon and it lights up all of the zombies that are in that thing. I was like, oh crap. But mostly it's the thing that sucks about these movies that people need to take lessons from people like George Romero is they don't uniqueify the zombies, right? They're just a mass of people. Like you think of Romero films and there's all these unique looking zombies and they're memorable. These are just a horde of nobodies.
Well, what I found interesting was the narrative itself, how they were able to isolate this problem to one island. Like the only other movie I could think that does something like that maybe is Doomsday, where it's like isolated and the rest of the world is okay. To be honest, it's a pretty original idea. I can't really think of too many other zombie movies where the rest of the world is okay and living in a normal world where somewhere else there's a island filled with zombies, still roaming around. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think I kind of like that too when I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, it's like the bad, like, the dead zone type thing. Like you can't go to this part of the thing because it's, infected and they've kind of isolated it. And I mean, that would be a quick way to end it, right? Just, hey, you guys are on your own.
Just nuke the fucking island and be done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think that, like, speaking of George Romero though, I do think that did you guys get a serious like vibe of Land of the Dead in this one?
You haven't seen that in so long.
A little bit, I guess, considering it has a similar like abandoned, isolated city kind of feel. I
and
guess
like the hierarchy
bit.
Thing of like the way that they put the people into the tournament thing, where they spray paint numbers on them and bet on them and stuff. That was all in Land of the Dead.
Yeah, with the little person, right?
I can't even remember, but I know
I don't
that
remember that movie at all.
They put people against zombies in like a Coliseum type.
What was up with that fucking zombie ball thing? Like, what the hell was that?
What was it?
Like the huge zombie ball where they were all in that scene where they were all.
Oh yeah,
like...
I was like, what the heck? Did they like melt them together? What's going on here?
I was wondering, like.
I thought it was like. It reminded me of like when Chucky gets all melted in part 2. He's like climbing like towards Andy. Yeah, I think overall, I mean, I thought the movie was good.
Totally
it's not as good as the first one.
It's not really scary. It really is just more action. Because the first one I actually think is kind of creepy, and this one's just full on action in your face the whole time.
Yeah, a lot of action. Not a huge fan of that personally, but I think people like it.
I mean, it was like I said, I had a fun time with it. I think some of the stuff in is total nonsense bullshit, but
yeah,
I was still sitting there going like, oh, this is fun. I'm not gonna like leave.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was awesome seeing the fucking Shudder logo on the big screen like that.
Dude, I thought the same thing. I did not know this was a Shudder anything.
Yeah, but I'm watching this movie on a 70-foot screen and fucking Shudder comes across. I was like, this is badass.
Yeah, did it really put in perspective how big Shudder has gotten, considering when we first, we were around when Shudder first came out. I did a review of Shudder when it first debuted from a beta on the show. So, it's come such a long way. And of course, we all remember me getting Joe Bob on.
How could we forget?
You know what? I was thinking whenever you were mentioning that, Train to Busan Presents Peninsula had the Shudder logo, I was thinking to myself, I was like, I bet I had something to do with that. Like, I don't know how, but chances are
Justin
that...
Patrick Presents Shudder.
Right, yeah. On our screener, it said Justin Patrick and then Shudder.
To be honest, I doubt we'll ever see it again. Maybe. I doubt it, but I just think that there's nothing to be seen right now, so they're like, okay, we're just gonna release. But I doubt we'll see it again. But it was still cool to see.
It's possible to see again. I could see one of their films taking off and maybe getting, they, if they make it and produce it and be like, oh, we got something fire here. We need to, like, this is one we can push. I could see something happening with it. But the thing that shocks me the most about Shudder is that it's still like $4.99.
I know.
It went up. It's locked. It's like $7.99 now, but I think you're grandfathered in.
Okay. I was about to say it should be up by now. I mean, I would pay $7.99 for it, but
That's
I'll
still
keep
cheap.
my $4.99 if I can. So yeah, I mean, Train to Busan presents Peninsula. I thought it was pretty good. I have an issue with some of the convenience of things, and anytime there's action where everybody's like shooting, you ever notice how like, okay, they're shooting and then there's a moment where they're like doing something else, and then right when they're done doing that, that's when everybody jumps into the room and is like, it's freeze,
Well, what I appreciated with this is like most of the time they just go and they like pull the trigger nonstop, like they try to fucking like mow everybody down. But at least this guy would like shoot one bullet to kill each zombie. He wouldn't waste ammo. He would literally just like boom, boom, boom. He would actually just like waste one bullet on each.
Which makes sense since he's
like
military.
a video game.
Yeah, I appreciated that.
Yeah, I always appreciate those type of details too. Or like the ones where they just spray and spray and spray and spray and never show a scene of them reloading.
Oh, like this
I hate that.
with the handgun at the beginning. He shoots like 40 times and he never
Does he
reloads.
shoot that much? I thought he shot 16.
Well, yeah, but there's still less than 16 bullets in a clip.
No, not sometimes.
Really? I thought it's only like 9 bullets in a clip.
No.
I don't know my guns, but I thought it seemed like a lot too. But I don't know my guns.
Anyway, I don't know what kind of gun that was, and I don't know what kind of clip it was or anything, but I'm pretty sure that like some guns can hold, decent amount in the clip.
Right,
So
maybe
anyway,
he had that gun.
I did like the scene where he. Oh, so is that the one that you're talking about where it's creepy, where all the zombies inside like the staircase thing that he blows up?
Yeah, that was the only creepy scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, I think it was badass too at the end when he fucking shattered the glass and they all. I mean, it looked ridiculous. That's the thing. Like this, the zombies look ridiculous in this movie because there's like hundreds of them, just like falling out of the sky. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and rate this bad boy and get out of here. I will go first. I'm at like an 8. I think that I gave the first one an 8.5. This one, I feel like 7.5 is like a little too low for like the size of this movie and like the amount that they did. It was pretty ambitious. But I don't think that, I don't know. I'm like at a 7.5 or an 8. I have to think about it a little bit more. I just watched this, but somewhere around there.
Yeah. I gave the first one a 9 actually, and I gave this one the same thing. I give this an 8. I think it's a really good movie though. I mean, I like the characters. I like the sister and her little sister and that bond and the whole family thing, and different film. You can't really compare it to the first one, but I think it's an 8. I probably wouldn't watch this one again, honestly, but it was good.
All right.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
7.
I was at like between a 7 and a 7.5. I was at a 7.5 until it got to the ending, and then when the ending happened, I was like, "This is absolutely fucking ridiculous." Like they spend like 10 minutes deciding she's gonna shoot herself in the head. It's like that's just stupid. So I'm gonna give it a 7.
Yeah, I was laughing at that part.
Seriously? That, I don't know. It would kind of work for me.
It did. No, dude, because I was just in my head. I'm thinking like they're like talking out. He's like, I shouldn't be saying this.
I'm gonna go back.
And I'm just like,
that,
you just
that
heard the
part,
gun go off right there.
Yeah, I thought the same exact thing. I was like, dude,
Like,
don't
hurry
tell
up
her
then.
you're gonna save her. Like, just be like, I'm gonna try to save her.
Don't even say anything. Just run and get her.
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah,
she's been sitting there for 10 minutes already.
That was really dumb. That was really dumb.
But do you think you're gonna make another one?
I could see them. I mean, I think this director's pretty talented. I think I would like him to do something else, though. I mean, I feel like you did enough with those two. What's there really more to do?
Oh, it's technically 3 because they made an animated.
Oh,
prequel.
yeah. Dave said that was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He directed it, too, so.
I know. It's weird.
Yeah.
I will say this. Last final thing on this. I think that if there was more gore, it would have been nice. There's really no gore in this movie.
Yeah, there's not.
There's no good kill scenes or anything like that. Good death scenes. It's mostly people just grabbing people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if there was like some gore, it would have been cool.
I forgot to say, I think the reason why this movie isn't possibly not in as many theaters. I was thinking about this as, you know, something like Unhinged or something like that. It's not rated, so I think that.
Is it not rated?
Yeah, it's not rated. So I was surprised to see that even the AMC and Regal was going to show it.
That's
because I was like,
thing.
They never show not rated movies unless it's like an art house Regal, which my Regal is an art house Regal, so it makes sense that they do that. But I think maybe that's a main reason why we're not seeing it as in so many theaters, because it's NR.
All right, yeah, I think so.
Not rated by the MPA, because I can't say the MPAA anymore because it's not MPAA.
Did they drop the second A?
Yeah, it's MPA now.
That's stupid.
I know.
Okay, so is there anything you want to plug or anything?
What the fuck do I want to plug?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Didn't you say you were doing a Fangoria video?
Well, yeah, whenever that comes out, but September 15th, coming back with the 22 shots of, 16th, September 16th, coming back with the 22 shots of Moods and Horror, top 10 of 1991. So that should be fun. Have you guys been enjoying 1991?
Yeah, we were just talking about it earlier, how we're kind of stressing a little bit, because I made a final list of like the popular movies or like good movies or movies of note that I want to see, and it's like still like 24 titles, and I've already watched like 45. So I'm like, man, I gotta watch like 24 more in like less than 3 weeks. I'm a little nervous that I'm not gonna be able to do it, because I also have summer series movies to watch and movies for this show. So it's crunch time.
What did I say to you when you sent me that list?
I don't have the quote in front of me, but maybe you have a quote.
Oh, okay, I said, well, bend me over backwards and fuck me in the butthole, I am fucked.
I thought you don't like to get fucked in the butthole.
I don't. I'm like fucked with this whole 91 show, so it would be an unpleasant banging experience.
Yeah, I laughed at that because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, funny.
All right, yeah, so check out, Carly will be on that show too. So all three of us will be on that show coming September like 16th-ish. I think we record on the 11th.
Yep.
9/11. That might be a bad omen, I don't know.
Yeah, that was...
Anyway, so next week...
Dave.
What's that?
I blame Dave.
Yeah, Dave. I blame Dave too. Derek has been really quiet about the 91 show. Is he doing that show?
I think so. I see him still posting on Letterboxd and stuff, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so next week, fingers crossed, we may finally be covering the New Mutants. That should be next week's episode if, in fact, it actually does come out and there isn't like a coronavirus 2.0 that sweeps the nation in like 2 days. Because, you know, that movie's been...
Because New Mutants coming out.
Right, yeah.
Can I ask me to come back and do it or no?
Yeah, you can come back on if you want to. I think we're going to probably record on Sunday next week.
Okay.
I think. Not 100% sure. It's either like Thursday or Sunday, but probably Sunday. Maybe Saturday. I don't know. I'll let you know on Thursday.
Okay.
What we're going to do.
Well, on Thursday, that's when we're seeing it, isn't it?
Yeah.
How would it be funny if like on August 27th or like on August 26th they're like, yep, got to shut down again. Right, yeah. That's like
probably...
a day before it comes out, it's like that movie would be the most cursed movie ever.
I think
it
would be... I think I would just blame New Mutants at that point.
It's plausible.
I'd be like, you've ruined the world.
I would laugh so hard. That would be really funny.
I wouldn't.
I'll be mad. I told Carly earlier, in 2018 I made a list on YouTube of my top 5 most anticipated horror movies of 2019, and The New Mutants was like number 3.
Yep.
And then I did another list at the end of the year last year, at the end of 2018, then the last year, 2019, I did one, and it was also on that list. So, yeah. Anyway,
if it sucks.
Well, I was telling her, I think it's going to. I have really low expectations. I had way too many production problems. At this point, if I just get above average movie, I'll be pretty happy.
Yeah.
But
I guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll find out. Stay tuned next week for the exciting conclusion of our thoughts on the New Mutants. Thank you for coming on, Jeremy. Thank you for being here, Carly. That is a wrap on episode number 31.